Hello ladies and gentlemen, Top Hat Gaming Man here. I am a handsome, dashing, mustachioed retro gaming connoisseur who has been travelling all over the planet for the last year. I have slowly been conquering the world, sampling its many delights. On my YouTube channel recently, I've had a large focus on handheld systems, as this style of gaming suits my jet set lifestyle best. Nonetheless, I have several games rooms in one of the wings of my home, which houses my personal extensive collection. The best games are like fine wines and get better with age, and the Atari VCS is the gaming equivalent to drinking a nice glass of Chianti. Atari was essentially the first company to release a cartridge-based games console that went mainstream. Sure, you had other companies putting out similar products before it, such as the Magnavox Odyssey, etc., but Atari were the ones who managed to become a household name. So, what was it that Atari did that was so special, that makes the brand so fondly remembered today? Well, back in 1977, Atari released their VCS console, which essentially was a little bit of a rip-off of the Fairchild Channel F, released 1 year prior. Both systems are credited with popularising the use of microprocessor-based hardware and ROM cartridges containing game codes. So basically cartridge gaming. So, in terms of the hardware itself, Atari didn't really bring anything new to the table. However, as we now know today, hardware isn't everything when it comes to gaming, and Nolan Bushnell's VCS innovated in a number of other ways to become a success instead. The first of these breakthroughs for Atari's new gaming system was Atari's invention of computer-controlled opponents, rather than the usual two-player or asymmetric challenges of the past living room gaming platforms, such as the many Pong consoles. Secondly, Atari put themselves in a strong position with the system via the implementation of great advertising campaigns, and pairing themselves up with top distributors such as Sears, who even sold the system as the rebranded Sears Video Arcade. Thirdly, and in my opinion Atari's biggest breakthrough of all in the golden age of gaming, was that they were the first company to license popular arcade games and bring them home to the living room. This was absolutely bloody groundbreaking at the time, as arcade games such as Space Invaders and Pac-Man were absolutely red-hot properties. Sure, some of these conversions may not have been the most faithful conversions ever, but some of them managed to do absolutely fantastic jobs. I'd say, for example, the VCS version of Space Invaders is probably as fondly remembered now as its arcade counterpart. Atari obviously went on to manufacture a number of other notable systems too, such as the handheld Lynx for Jaguar, the 5200 and the 800 XL microcomputers, and many more. Each of these systems brought new and interesting things to the table, but obviously none of these platforms brought Atari the same success as the VCS. In fact, many of these endeavours ended up losing Atari a lot of money, and by the time 1996 came around, the company ended up changing ownership in rapid succession, meaning as of that year, the Atari we knew no longer existed. Despite the demise of the real Atari, their accolades and contributions to the field of gaming are undeniable. They were the company who set a precedent and brought the likes of Pac-Man and Space Invaders into the living room. So if it wasn't for the forward strides they made, who knows whether the likes of Nintendo, Sony and Sega would have been able to follow suit down the line. Atari hold an extremely important place in gaming history, and the VCS is essentially the granddaddy of successful games consoles. I actually honour the brand today by owning many of their old systems, and the VCS holds an important spot atop of my wooden television in my golden age room. Sure, many of the games may be simple and primitive by today's standards, but fun can still be had with most of their games. For me personally, there is nothing like sitting in front of one of these old screens, competing for high scores with a friend. It is a completely different style of gaming than that of which we are accustomed to now. So even with no nostalgia for the platform, there is a lot of fun to be had with the VCS. So overall, Atari was a great company. However, they have sadly been dead since 1996. So with the announcement of there being potentially a new Atari console being on the horizon, known as the Atari Box, it is important for us all to remember that this is not really an Atari console at all. Atari have been dead for 21 years and they are not coming back anytime soon. We probably have more chance of seeing Margaret Thatcher rising from her grave and opening back up all of the coal mines than we do of actually seeing the real Atari ever making a comeback. The Atari Box is simply a product being made by Infogrames, which is simply and shamelessly bastardising the Atari name. I am not calling into question the quality of this upcoming device. However, I am not stupid enough to believe that this is a genuine Atari product. It would be like someone buying the rights to my late great-grandfather's name, then actually claiming to be my great-grandfather. You see how the logic there just does not compute? It's shameless and stupid. So to summarise, for all I know, the Atari Box will be great. But even if it is, it's not a genuine Atari product, it's just a corporate cash-in by Infogrames. Cheerio!